assuming we both get in, and somehow I feel sure we will. 2 months is a long time to be away from you, but we'll be together again before the summer is over. So I was kind of enjoying the ferry ride, the damp cool of the fog on my face, the salty sting of the sea. I was glad just to have a job, because this summer, as everyone knows, there are no summer jobs. Anywhere. This one was going to pay really well, and it sounded easy, though maybe a little boring. I wasn't feeling especially paranoid or anxious. So doesn't it seem strange to you that I imagined a seagull yelling at me to jump off the ferry and swim back to shore? Boarding the ferry, I hadn't paid much attention to the other passengers. I'd been too busy struggling with my luggage. At the very last minute, I'd thrown in more sneakers and boots than I'll probably ever need. My dad and I had wrestled with my duffel bag, and it had been a drama, finding a place to put it on the boat where no one would trip over it, and it would be safe. By the time we'd stowed it all away, the ferry whistle was blowing, and my dad was saying I could still change my mind and come home. He said it made him uncomfortable, my going away to an island where there were no phones or internet or TV, so that we'd have to write letters old school, starting with dear instead of hi, and ending with love or sincerely instead of X's and O's. I knew my dad felt guilty because I had to get a job. The pizza place where I worked last summer went out of business. Lately, my dad has hardly been getting any work, though he used to make good money building porches and additions and renovating the kitchens and bathrooms of rich people's summer homes. But now, with the economic downturn, a lot of his former customers are deciding they could live with the kitchens and bathrooms they already had. And no one is building new houses, at least not in our town. If I want to go to college, which you know I do, I'm going to have to earn some of the money myself. I think it's made my dad feel like he failed, even though it's not his fault that half the country is out of work. I told my dad that 2 months would pass in no time and that my job sounded like fun. There were supposed to be plenty of books in the house where I would be staying, so I could read all kinds of stuff I hadn't had time for in school. I was bringing my laptop with this portable printer he'd got me, the old school kind you plug into the computer, so I could write him plenty of letters. I could improve my writing skills, which would be helpful in college. I didn't feel I had to tell him I'd brought along my favorite video games in case I got sick of reading and writing letters, which I knew I would. The ferry whistle blew again. My dad and I hugged goodbye. And as the ship pulled away from the dock, I ran up on deck so he could see me waving. I was sad for a moment, but then the sadness passed, and I started to enjoy the ride. I don't know why I had that fantasy, or whatever it was, about the seagull. I hadn't slept well the night before. Maybe I was just tired. I decided to go downstairs, which was set up like a big, friendly, warm cafe. I'd get a coffee with 3 sugars, chill out, and text you from the phone I'd brought along, even though I knew I wouldn't be able to use it on the island. It turned out I couldn't text you. The message didn't go through. We were already too far from land. Really, it doesn't make sense. You can text from halfway around the world, probably from the moon. But the minute we sailed toward the islands, we entered a major dead zone. I felt like I'd left the modern world behind and time-traveled back into the past. To tell you the truth, I was starting to feel a little stranded, marooned on the desert. I knew it wasn't a desert island I hadn't even got to. I couldn't say I wasn't warned that, as far as modern technology is concerned, I could be spending the summer in the Neanderthal era. I just hadn't expected to leave the 21st century so soon. Fortunately, I'd kept my